So it's just about the end of the spring season. We're moving into summer. And what do I do at the end of every season? Me and my moderators go back and forth. I have them give me their top 5 designers for that season, and then they give me their top 5 niche for that season. Well, I already did the top 5 designer for my moderators. Newt ended up winning that video. I always choose the best one. And then I follow that up by giving you my top 10 designer fragrances for the spring, which is what we're going to be doing today. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another one of my seasonal list videos. So starting back last fall, me and my moderators, I have 3 of them. Well, technically 4, but one of them's a reviewer. But my 3 moderators, Mo, Hamzat, and Newt, we got together and we decided that for the next year, that we were going to, at the end of every season, they were going to give me their top 5 designers for that season and their top 5 niche for that season. I would do separate videos for each, and I would follow them each up with my own list for that season, and then I would also rank theirs as well. So I did the fall one, the winter ones, and so if you go back, I have 4 videos for each season, and now we are at the end of spring, and we just did the designers, and Newt ended up winning that one, I believe. So if you guys want to go check that out, I did that last week. And so I'm following that up now, and I'm going to be giving you guys my top 5 designer fragrances with a few runners up. And one of them I had to put in this list, even though it's not technically a designer. With that said, before we get into the video, make sure that you guys hit the like button if you're on your way in. Also, if you're not already and you like my content, hit the subscribe button, comment below. Let me know what some of your favorite spring designer fragrances are. And then again, next week, or probably in a few days, I'm going to do their top 5 niche fragrances, and then I'm going to follow that up with my top 5 niche for the spring, obviously. And then we'll do one for the summer, and then that will be it for at least a couple years until new fragrances come out, because those lists won't change drastically. Anyway, so going into my runners-up. So this one is the one I was telling you about. I had to put it in this list. Since we're doing niche and designer, we're kind of leaving out one big thing, and that is indie. And so I'm throwing this in my runners up just because it is my favorite spring fragrance in my entire collection. And so I just had to throw it out there. This is Imaginary Authors Saint Julep. It is just a boozy, sugary fragrance that is surrounded by a sweet mint, a little bit of like a tangerine. It is a very nice, again, minty, boozy, sugary fragrance that is green. It's sweet, but it's super unique. There is nothing in the world that smells like it. This is the best green fragrance in my collection. It is my favorite spring fragrance, but I wear it all year long because there is this vanillic tone in it and the booze and stuff like that. It's best for the spring, but it's definitely an all-season fragrance. Very anytime wear. It's good for the heat or it's good for the cool weather. Really, really nice Saint Julep. That's one of my runners-up. And honestly, if it was a designer, it would be number 1 on this list. If it was a niche, it would be number 1 on the niche list. With that said, going into the second runner-up, this is a brand new release, and honestly, I was so close to actually putting this on the top 5 list, but the other ones unfortunately made it. I haven't had enough time with this. This is the new Azzaro, the Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. So when I first got this in, the opening of the fragrance, I did not love. I did not love it, and still to this day, the opening is not my favorite. And so I keep getting hate comments like, what? So did you change your mind? No. I did a first impression, which you guys love my first impressions, and you guys voted for me to continue doing them. I do a first impression, which is the opening 5 minutes and my thoughts on the fragrance, and the opening 5 minutes of this is not my favorite part of it. That is more kind of like a green, mossy, minty fragrance in the opening, and it comes off just a slight bit synthetic. It still smells very nice. It's just, it was not what I was expecting when I was going into this fragrance, and the green tone in it just kind of puts me off just a bit. But once I started to get used to that, when this gets to the dry down, it is basically a fresher, creamy version of the original The Most Wanted. So that kind of vanilla, toffee, spicy cardamom. While this one isn't going to be spicy and warm like that one, this is a fresh, creamy version of the original Most Wanted, just with this green minty tone underneath it. It's a very beautiful scent, and I wish I would have had more time with it. And if that opening was just, if that dry down came quicker and it was more in the opening, then I think that fragrance would probably be one of the first 10s in my collection. It's so good in the dry down, it's just it takes so long to get there, but it's such a good fragrance. Anyway, going into my top 5, they are not in any order. This one is for the cheapie lovers out there. You can find this at pretty much any Burlington. I ran out of my bottle about 2 months ago, had to get a new one. And if you can't find this, Linen Vetiver is also good. This is Banana Republic's 78 Vintage Green. See, that's a nice little ball. You can get this for about $19, $20 at your local Burlington. Again, if you can't find this and you find Linen Vetiver, they smell similar. Linen Vetiver just leans more on the grassy vetiver. This one leans a bit more on the fruit and tea, but this has a nice figgy tone. It almost is kind of like Banana Republic's version of Oolong Cha. That's kind of like the way that I look at it. It's fruity, it's grassy, it's green, it's sweet. And then again, you have a bit of woods in there. You have that fruits in there. It has a bit of depth, which is really nice. But it's green, it's fruity, it's tea. It's very, very, very beautiful fragrance. The only thing is it lasts about 4 to 5 hours, so it's not a long-lasting or heavy projector, but it smells so good that in the price range, this is one of the ultimate cheapies out there. I'm actually making a list coming up of the ultimate cheapies, and this is definitely one of them. That's Banana Republic's Vintage Green, or 78 Vintage Green. Going into the next one. This one, I honestly just bought off a whim. And my wife, I wore it one time. I did not think she was going to like it, but she is absolutely enamored with this fragrance. This is Polo Cologne Intense, which I know Newt had on his list, which actually made him win the designer video for my moderators. So this is not Polo Green, just an FYI. So I will put a graphic on the screen. Polo Green is kind of that tobacco-y, old vintage style scent, while this one is more on the side of a nice citrus, a nice green, minty, herbaceous tone. You get mintiness, you get that herbaceous tone underneath this nice, beautiful grapefruit citrus blend that you get in the opening. It's definitely woody, has a slight bit of spice. It has a bit of the vintage tone, but it's almost like a modern vintage, which is why I like it. It's a modern callback to almost like that Polo Green line, but it's not as warm, spicy. The Polo Green is more like kind of played out, old man-ish. This one, again, my wife, she's usually bad with scents. She loves this one. You can get it for like 35, 40 bucks on almost any single website for this size, 4 ounce, 4.2 ounce. But yeah, herbaceous, green, slightly spicy, woody, has a nice citrus top. The grapefruit in there is very well blended. It's not rindy, so if you're worried about that, it's more of your citric grapefruit. Very beautiful, surrounded by a little bit of amber and musk. But that is Polo Cologne Intense, not to be confused with Polo Green. Anyway, going into the next one. This one, if it's not on your list, then you have something going on, because this is probably the most versatile designer out there. I think all 3 of the moderators had it on their list. This is Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. I think one of them substituted it for Edition Blanche, which I understand. You can substitute this for Edition Blanche, the original Allure Homme Sport, the original Allure Homme. Really, any of them work in spring. But this one, while it is a versatile fragrance, all year round fragrance, morning, noon, night, doesn't really matter. You can wear this fragrance in a bathtub or you can wear it on the moon. Doesn't really matter. It smells freaking amazing. Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. It's sporty, aromatic. It opens up with a bit of citrus, has a bit of pepper in there. As you get to the dry down, you get this nice creamy sandalwood. And what it's known for is the vanilla. So you take that Allure Homme DNA, you get it a little bit of a creamy vanilla that starts to come in at about 5 minutes, and then it starts to pull up and up and up and up, and then it turns into this creamy vanilla sandalwood mixture with an aromatic undertone. Well, it starts out just with a touch of citrus, a little bit of black pepper. Very beautiful scent, very high quality. It's one of the best but most expensive designer fragrances out there. If you don't own it and you haven't tried it, definitely do yourself a favor and go out and try this. The only thing is that if you want projection and longevity, actually go with the original Allure Homme, which adds this peach note. And that is actually a 7-hour fragrance, while this one's more around 5 to 5.5. That's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. Really, really nice fragrance. Going into the last two. So I'm going to save my favorite green fragrance, designer fragrance, for last, but this one is a brand new fragrance this year. Again, I told you I was almost going to put the most wanted in this, but I substituted it for this. This one, they're kind of in the same realm where they kind of went with a fresher take on the fragrance that came before them. This is Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir. So Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir, it looks blue online. It doesn't unless you hold it in the light, which it's like kind of like a grayish blue. Anyway, so just like this, how it took that original Most Wanted DNA and it made it more creamy fresh, take the original Boss Bottled Elixir and make it more creamy fresh. I know some people are put off by the patchouli. I don't know. I get an earthiness to this as well. It's definitely a patchouli-based fragrance. It definitely has an earthy tone to it. It has that original incense in that sweetness that you get, that dark resinous tone from the original Elixir. But it kind of just tones that down, mellows it out, flows it with a bit of amber, and then you have this sweet, creamy facet coming from the patchouli. While it does have an earthy tone, I don't get it like super earthy or anything. I find this to be a slightly green, more wearable version of the Elixir if you like creamy fragrances that have a bit of an earthy tone to it. That is great. The only person that I know really does not like this fragrance is Mo, but I think he was starting to change his mind on it. I'm not 100% sure. He said that the earthy tone came off way too strong for him. Well, for me and Newt and Hamzat, it did not come off like that. So I get more of a creamy, fresh version of the original Boss Bottled Elixir. Again, it's a little bit more earthy, tones down the incense. So if you found the Boss Bottled Elixir a little bit too intense, a little bit too heavy, masculine, mature, then this one kind of just tones that down a bit and smoothens it out. And that's why I love this fragrance. It's definitely going to be a staple in my collection for years and years to come. Now going to the last one, you'll be able to see just by the dent in this bottle that I got a year and a half ago how much, and with the fact that I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fragrances, I mean, this is by far my favorite designer spring fragrance. This is Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. Look at that dent. I mean, I have 400 some fragrances and I rotate fragrances. So, and this one is a fresh fragrance, so it's not like I wear it during the spring and summer, during the fall and winter. This is a spring and summer fragrance. I have worn it on like warmer days during the fall, but fall and winter you're not really wearing this. But I can say, oh, it is the best Lacoste that's ever released. It is probably in my top 5 all-time fragrances. I mean, niche, designer, indie, doesn't matter. Top 5 all-time fragrances, probably top 3 when it comes to fresh. This fragrance is just so beautiful. It has this nice pickled ginger. It has a nice fizzy ambroxan that provides a nice amber woody tone to it, as well as a bit of like an effervescent pop. Mixed together that beautiful ginger with, it's like a pickled ginger, and then mix that together with some citrus. Have a little bit of a green tone, a little bit of spice and aromatics. But for the most part, this is almost like you're carrying a basket full of cut lemons into the woods during a windy, airy day, and you just smell it. And that's exactly what I get from this with pickled ginger on the side. It is super good, super effervescent, super clean, crisp, fresh. It's like a fresh breeze. I love this fragrance. Love, love, love. It is one of the best, and one that smells in the same realm as this is Gentleman Only Casual Chic. So if you've ever smelled that and you've never smelled this, you can get this for like $40. I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, try the damn fragrance. So my 5, again, Vintage Green, Cologne Intense by Ralph Lauren. We have Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme or Kashi. We have Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. And we have Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir, with this one being an indie, so it's imaginary author St. Julep, and again, Azzaro, the most wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, both of my runners-up. So let me know some of your favorite spring designer fragrances. And again, in a couple days, I'll be back with my moderators. So my 3 moderators have top 5 niche fragrances for the spring, and then I'll follow that up with my 5. So thank you guys so much. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.